Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Claire Graves, I'm president of the Webby Awards, and I'm so excited to welcome everyone today. We are bringing our Webby Talk to our community so that everybody can hear and learn from the presentation that we've been taking around the world over the last few months, and we're so excited to be doing it in partnership with WP Engine. This week we launched our 2024 trend report, which is focused on AI, the same topic as our Webby Talk presentation, which I'm going to share. And as we all prepare for the end of the year, it's a great time for us to look back at what's happened this year and how the internet has changed, but also look forward to the opportunities that we can all participate in with technology coming up in the new year. So I'm really excited to share the presentation with you all today. Let me just bring it up. I'm going to share my screen. And 1 second. Let's go. So thank you again for joining us. Our Webby Talk this year is called A Race to Outpace. And as I said, I'm really super excited to share it with you all today. We have been traveling around the world since the beginning of September. We've been traveling around the world. This year, we've taken our Webby Talks tour to 12 cities, 8 countries, and we've done about 150 talks for the people who make the internet all over the world. This presentation is our perspective on what we think is one of the most important things that the industry should be paying attention to. And the idea is that we take it around the world and share our perspective and get the perspective of the industry as well. And so I'm super excited to share with you our presentation today. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take you through a little bit about the Webby Awards and who we are, what we mean to the industry. Then I'm going to share our Webby Talk. It's about 20 minutes. And then this presentation is a little bit different and even more exciting than usual. At the end of the Webby Talk, I'm going to bring Luke Patterson on. He's an AI expert from WP Engine, our partners at WP Engine, and we're going to talk about how he is using AI to enable experiences for his clients and their customers. So super excited about that, and stay tuned for that at the end. But a quick thank you firstly to WP Engine. We've been working with WP Engine for about 6 or 7 years now, and we're so proud of the partnership that we have created together, really recognizing incredible experiences for websites and internet experiences, and so thankful for their support, particularly in and around our Webby Talks tour. But let me get started, and I'll start with a quick overview of the Webby Awards. We have been honouring outstanding achievement for the last 28 years. The Webby Awards is hosting its 28th annual event in May next year. Last year, we received about 14,000 entries from all over the world. That's the most amount of entries into any internet award show. So we really are the biggest and the hardest award to win for the internet. And we're also really prestigious because of these people. The Webbies is judged by the International Academy of Digital Arts and Sciences, which we just call IADIS. Now, IADIS is made up of about 3,000 of the people that we like to say are shaping the future of the internet. CEOs, founders, artists, creative directors who are leading teams who are creating the most interesting and innovative work on the internet. So if you know anything about the Webby Awards, you'll know that we have a 5-word speech. All winners are only allowed to say 5 words. I just have a quick video for you all to show you some of our favourite winners from last year and their 5-word speeches.
The Tonight Show has been nominated for 4 Webby Awards.
So this year's Webby winners were announced. Art
Yeah!
In the Webby Awards, and you know what? No hard feelings. I'm gonna vote for me too.
Come on, Webby! Let's go!
The 27th Annual Webby Awards. Your host, Roy Wood Jr.
All speeches must only be 5 words long.
I want to offer a huge congratulations to our winners tonight. Every one of you has made us feel something this year.
All there is love.
Toby Wigway is the real thing. a real one.
It's my honor to present Shigetaka Kurita, the man who created emojis, with this 2023 Webby Lifetime Achievement Award. First ever 5-emoji speech.
Creators, this belongs to you.
Find a rule to break.
This is only the beginning. All the Iranian people want to do is to live freely without fear of being arrested or killed simply for existing. Zan zendegi azadi, marg bar diktator.
You are smart. Trust yourself.
Koda Kadbi.
Listen and love, love, love. Bye!
Sharon Horgan, the Webby Best Actress.
Pay writers what they deserve.
The Webby Artist of the Year award goes to SZA. The internet scares me.
Thanks.
Tracy Ellis Ross, the Webby Special Achievement Award.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Thank you, Webbies. That was fun. So that's the Webby Awards, and I know I'm biased, but I really do think that it is the best award show. So after the show, we take a little bit of a break and then we start thinking about what we want to come and bring to the industry on our Webby Talks tour. And what we do is we sit in a room and we spend a few weeks talking about what's changed on the internet, what are people really excited about, what's the real thing that we want the industry to be thinking about and talking about. And we've witnessed a humongous amount of change over the last 28 years at the Webby Awards. A really, 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 really huge amount of change in terms of technology and how people use the internet. But we have never really seen a moment like today where there is an extreme acceleration in the pace of technology and the way that it is changing. And of course, that's down to artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is really speeding up the way that we are using the internet and helping us within our day-to-day, the way that we live our lives, the way that we work and the way that we play. And, you know, it was really, I'm going to be honest, at the crux of all of our ideas that we were sitting down at our table and talking about when we were coming up with the Webby Talk. And it's not only because we're using it more and more at work, we're also starting to use it at home. And one of the places that I am most kind of particularly thankful for AI is around 7:30 at night. When I put my turn the lights off for my sons, this is Ray and Frankie, and you know, we've read all of the books, we've done the rounds of all of the books, but they want one final bedtime story. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, by 7:30, I'm completely shot. It's been a really long day. There's been a million decisions made. I've answered a million questions, particularly for these two. And I just don't have it in me to come up with a bedtime story. And of course, if you all have children or know any children, you know that they don't need at 7:30 a bedtime story that's about anything. It has to be about certain things. Like, for example, the other night with these two, the story had to involve Santa Claus, fireworks, they love fireworks, game shows, they really love game shows. And so you have to think of something that has all of these things. Nowadays, what I do is I plug those prompts into ChatGPT and out comes a short bedtime story. It's a huge lifesaver. If there is anybody out there that is in the same situation, I highly recommend. But of course, we're not just using it day to day. AI is everywhere in the zeitgeist. We're talking about it. We're thinking about it. It is all over the headlines. And there's a lot of fear. People are really worried about how AI is going to be coming for their jobs. And that a lot of people are worried about that. We did a study with YouGov and we found that 40% of US consumers think AI is going to mean fewer jobs for people. It could replace the entire film and television industry. There are big issues with bias and discrimination. There's issues of attribution. AI is trying to off us by suggesting killer recipes. It's coming to reincarnate our parents and kill our children. The White House is getting involved. They've created a blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights, which is actually really welcome. A study with YouGov also showed that 78% of Americans think that AI should be somewhat more regulated because we don't want the bots to take over, and we really do not want to reach the singularity. So if you, like me, are feeling a little overwhelmed with where we are with AI at this very moment, trust me, you're not alone. Our research shows that 41% of people feel that AI is innovating too quickly, whereas only 1 in 5 people think that it's moving at the right speed. But at the same time, there is real reason to be optimistic because people that work in our industries are actually really excited about AI. Nearly 60% of people in tech and entertainment are excited, media and production, 54%. Advertising folks are a little bit more skeptical. But there is no doubt that this is a hugely game-changing moment for us. It's an opportunity for us to be thinking about how we can partner with AI and this technology to take advantage of the technology to increase and optimize the work that we create. And so this talk, we're not gonna focus on the bias and concerns around AI, although we definitely think that we should be creating this technology responsible, and we are open to all of those conversations. Instead, this talk is going to focus on the innovations that are taking place in this space and how they can shape your work. So the talk is called The Race to Outpace, and it is a curated deep dive of the breakneck speed of AI innovations, and I'm going to share insights on how to keep pace in this new era of the internet. So we have 3 intentions for the talk. We're going to inspire you with noteworthy innovations that are quickly popping up. We're going to show you how consumers are feeling about AI. And I'm going to share 4 areas of opportunity where you can be thinking about integrating AI into your work. So the headlines will make us think that this is a totally new phenomenon, but in reality, we've all been using AI for quite a while now. We've been using Siri since 2011. Some of you might remember that Steve Jobs is actually the person that introduced Siri to us at the Apple conference. We've been using Tap to Pay since 2013. We've relied on increased security of Face ID and deep learning assisted accuracy of Google Maps, both since 2017. But our research shows that consumers have a bit of a skewed perception of this. People don't really understand how ubiquitous this technology is. Almost half of our respondents said they don't use AI-powered tools in daily life. But when you look at that compared to the technology that they're actually using, you can see there's a real skewed perception of this. 84% of our respondents use Google search, but 38% of them don't know it uses AI. And in the same vein, 70% of our respondents use tools like navigation apps, but 54% of them don't know that it uses AI. These are pretty big discrepancies. Generative AI, so AI that's generating text, images, media, is really leading the way in a really booming market. Last year, more than $2 billion was invested into this space. And this surge has led to everything from game-changing products to fun experiments. And so I'm going to share some of those products and experiments with you. This is one of our favorites. It's called excuses.ai. It's a chatbot that outputs classic excuses to bail you out of stuff you don't want to do. Like this one, it's the classic, my elderly neighbor has fallen and I have to take care of her. There's viral experiments like this person doesn't exist.com, generates hyper-realistic photos of fake people. There's even an aggregator for all those generative AI projects. It's called This X Does Not Exist. AI is giving us control over how we digest news. Artifact is a new app that was launched this year by the founders of Instagram, Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger. It aggregates articles for readers according to what you want in your newsfeed, and then it produces cliff notes, summaries of the articles, so that you can digest that before you dive into the news. AI is also changing the way that we date, who we date in fact, human or bot. I'm not going to judge. I'm definitely not going to judge. Replica lets anyone create an AI companion to be used platonically or romantically. Half of the people that have flocked to the app are women who are going there for the promise of a safe relationship that they can control. It might seem a little bit foreign to some of us, but actually our partners at YouGov did some polling around this, and nearly half of all of their respondents said that they think that AI friends are better than real friends. AI has also entered the preventative healthcare space. In Stockholm, you can get a full body scan for 180 euros with Neko Health, which is founded by the Spotify co-creator Daniel Ek. So just to level set, AI is being applied in vastly different ways across so many different industries. And while, as I said, there are valid concerns, there are many, many meaningful innovations. So we want to share a few ways that AI can be on its best behavior and provide value to your work. So that brings us on to chapter 2. This is where you keep pace. We have identified 4 opportunity areas where we think that AI can have the biggest impact. The first one is productivity, using AI tools to sharpen your workflow. Personalization, helping you build personalized experiences for your audiences. Imagination, being creative and having more of a creative output using AI. And then finally, for us, the ultimate goal, using technology to create a better world, impact. I'm going to start with productivity. AI can eliminate some of the tedium of your work so that you can spend more time on creative thinking or doing the work that you enjoy. McKinsey recently did a study. They said 2/3 of our working time will be automated within 20 years. And that's already really started happening. Nearly half of full-time workers say that they use AI tools often, including 26% who say they use it very often. And what they're looking for is efficiency. 62% of our respondents said that they want AI tools to improve their productivity. So we're all looking for magic buttons, solutions that help create work faster and that we can partner with. And some of us have been using magic buttons for a little while now. If the designers in the audience have maybe used it within Photoshop, removing background, their tools, which has of course been around for years. Many of us use Grammarly to create quick emails or check our spelling. We love Descript's new regenerate feature. It cleans up audio really quickly and fixes issues that occur during recordings and are kind of hard to fix during post-production. So when somebody that you're recording has a bit of a brain freeze, you can clean up the audio really super quickly. Have a listen to this video and we'll show you how it works.
Oh my God, what do you call those things? An ice pop. I actually decided that I would treat myself and buy an ice pop.
So you can see that was so super quick, but the intonation is a little bit off. Now have a look at how to clean up the intonation.
I actually decided that I would treat myself and buy an ice pop. I hadn't had one of those since I was in grade school.
Mars has built an AI that can really quickly adjust lip movements seamlessly to any language. We think that this will be the norm for foreign language content before you know it. Check out some work that they did with Netflix.
Why'd you do that? What the hell did you expect, huh? Why go up and push that guy? You got lucky way in the back of the line. Must have forgotten how things are here. What if that guy ended up wasting our time on that one step like that criminal? Would you have done nothing? Why'd you do that? What the hell did you expect, huh? Why go up and push that guy? You got lucky way in the back of the line. Must have forgotten how things are here. What if that guy ended up wasting our time on that one step like that criminal?
Brands are also collaborating with AI to experiment with their campaigns by calling on artists who are already in the space. This summer, Malibu Rum and Aries, which is a London streetwear brand, used AI to produce a campaign for their co-branded clothing collection. They worked together with an AI artist called Omar Karim, and they used original photography as their base. Then they fed that photography into Omar's AI assistant, and with prompts around desired lighting and mood, with the goal of generating totally new imagery. The end result is this hyper-realistic campaign and assets. And it's a really great example of using AI to experiment with new production processes and leveraging artists who are already in the space. It also, and this is where I think it's really interesting, gives brands and the ability to generate a ton of content for their campaigns that they can use across social, across the web, everywhere. So when you talk about scale, another really interesting example is this one, increasing scale through with your projects. Icon is a construction technology company, and they're using machine learning to build 3D printed homes in a total of 24 hours. The results are faster, more sustainable builds that require less materials. And they've started to scale this project to build affordable housing in Austin, in Texas. The second opportunity is around creating more personalized experiences and connecting directly with your audiences, which is actually something that young consumers really want. About 40% of our respondents aged 18 to 34 are okay with companies using AI to create better personalization. And chatbots have really gained traction in this market as the first step in this direction, particularly when you're thinking about e-commerce and commerce space, which makes sense why they're doing so well in revenue. This past year, nearly $5 billion was invested into the chatbot market. And some really interesting projects have come out of this. One of our favorites is this one. It's from online fashion retailer Essence. And earlier this year, they lightly experimented with the chatbot tools on their Instagram account. So they employed the chatbot as a stylist through their Instagram account, helping people choose outfits and think about their style. And it was super successful. So they built it out on their website as well. In July, they created their own chatbot to help users navigate their website and answer styling questions. It's available through ChatGPT+. And by using existing AI tools and integrating them into your sites, you can make better experiences for your customers. And the barrier to entry is really super low. Another really smart way to be thinking about personalization and personalizing experiences for your audiences is through search optimization. Our partners at WP Engine are currently working on an alpha of an AI-powered search engine integration for WordPress called Smart Search. Smart Search will be set and forget search solution that drives engagement and conversion with your highest intent users with intuitive, typo tolerant, and relevant search. And I know the team at WP Engine is really super excited about this because it's going to make search queries much smarter and faster for their customers. It's also going to help users find what they're looking for in a much faster and intuitive way. Even if you spell something wrong, it's still going to find your results. And it's also going to index from search results from any source, not just WordPress. I'm personally really looking forward to diving into this with Luke towards the end of our session today. And we're going to learn even more about what he and the team at WP Engine are doing with AI to create better experiences for all of us. Another great pull for AI is the ability to expand our toolkits with creativity and imagination. We found this quote, we think it really sums up our perspective on AI and where we're going with it. It's from Gloria Steinem. Without leaps of imagination or dreaming, we lose the excitement of possibilities. We think this really sums up the unique opportunity with AI to create something that was once unimaginable and inspire others through it. A surprisingly large percentage of people think AI will have a positive impact on advertising and marketing. And people in this industry are also using AI tools for creative production as well. Particularly in entertainment, about 53% of our respondents have are using AI in this industry, followed by 46% of media and production professionals. Let's take a look at some of the AI tools that are helping create something new. In Canva's quest to bring AI tools to the masses, they've made their design processes even easier through a suite of magic tools that help automate design, writing, presentations, and more. I'm presenting to you off of a Canva presentation deck right now, and we love playing with those tools as well. Here's an example of us just tinkering and experimenting with what you can do with their AI suite, their magic AI suite. We wanted to take this iconic picture of Rafiki at the Webby Awards and do something different. So we decided that we wanted to change the statuette, the Webby Awards statuette, into something new. This is my colleague Steve doing this experiment, asking if she can hold a pineapple. And then Steve is an absolute perfectionist, so needed to find the exact right pineapple. There you go. And amazing, within 2 minutes, he's transformed the photograph. Another project which we think is a kind of incredible project as well is this one. It's called Genesis. It's a real trailer for a film that doesn't exist, created by a German product designer named Nicholas Neubart. The trailer was made using Midjourney and Runway, and it only took 7 hours to create. To help others, Nicholas put his full tutorial of how he created Genesis up on Twitter and I think also LinkedIn, so that he could share his creative process on the text prompts and how he did it in the effort to inspire other people to start experimenting as well. Google Lab Sessions explored how large language models can expand creativity this summer. They partnered with the rapper Lupe Fiasco on Text FX, a suite of tools to enhance the creative process for writers. Lupe and Google worked together. They actually created 10 different tools powered by Google's Palm API to aid the creative process. Let me share one of them with you. It's called Scene.
So this tool is called Scene. It generates sensory details about a scene. But let's just say a pizza shop. Click run. And there we go. First off top, you think of a pizza shop, we got the smell of tomato sauce and fresh dough, a cash register with a drawer that makes a satisfying ka-ching sound when it opens. This Scene tool just gives you all of this rich visual, audio, all these different flavors and pieces and parts that you probably wouldn't have thought about, you know? Great way to kind of create a really rich story or a really rich verse. You can pin any of this, it puts it into your pin box to kind of store it, make it really efficient for later. So yeah, that's Scene.
So their point wasn't to replace, but to help creatives play with language as a tool. And that intention extends to so many different industries. Art, architecture is a really interesting space. Lots of architects are playing around with AI, including the Zaha Hadid architects in the UK. They're using generative models like Midjourney and DALL-E 2 to explore design concepts for spaces, buildings, and products. Even office buildings like this one, it's the Impetus Plaza in China. So for us, the ultimate promise of AI is the ability to create a positive impact on our lives. And the good news is ChatGPT users are more optimistic about the state of the world, but they're not alone. Out of our survey, 64% of our respondents felt that AI can positively impact global problems. So we wanted to know what issues people think AI can solve. And the top issues were education, public health, climate, and food insecurities. AI can help you make low-lift, hard-hitting campaigns that can help you call to action. For Earth Day, the creative agency Fred and Farad teamed up with Fridays for Future, the youth climate strike movement sparked by Greta Thunberg. Together, they released Earth is No Toy, and they made generative models to depict G20 leaders as kids. The campaign urged leaders to act like adults and take the climate crisis seriously. This is one of my favorite stats in the whole presentation. Half of people already prefer to buy from companies that are socially and environmentally responsible. And there is some really amazing AI work being done to help us understand sustainability data. Brands like Vayu have helped retailers calculate their carbon emissions with machine learning. They do this by combining companies' data and automating carbon calculations using life cycle assessment data. In 2022, they announced a partnership with Klarna to help consumers watch their own carbon footprint. Klarna launched their CO2e tracker, which lets shoppers track their environmental impact of their purchases. And the tool tracks emissions data using life cycle of over 94 million products. Over 240,000 shoppers have received product carbon data information by visiting the tracker every month. AI is also being used considerably to improve the way we respond to humanitarian action. Give Directly and Google are using AI to provide disaster relief into low-income communities. Previously, the way that they would do the relief is on the ground. So they would go into areas that are impacted, and it would take a really long time to deliver the cash to disaster areas. They also ran the risk of giving it to the wrong people. So with Google's mapping tool, Delphi, now they can cross-reference aerial images of storm damage and poverty data and connect funds with those that need it most. In 2022, they used this process to give aid to nearly 3,500 Hurricane Ian victims across Puerto Rico and Florida. Education is another huge area of opportunity with AI, particularly improving education for people that are neurodivergent. We've seen tons of examples in this space. One of our favorites is this one. It's called Inner Voice. It's an app to improve the quality of life for those with communication challenges with video self-modeling. It uses Microsoft's Azure AI. Here's a quick video on how it works.
People have challenges communicating for many reasons. Babies learn to communicate by looking directly at their parent's face, and then they learn to imitate that. Babies with autism have big challenges in looking at faces, but digital faces engage them immediately.
We use avatars and visual language modeling to simulate how parents teach their children to talk using Microsoft AI.
So a child takes a picture, and an avatar describes it. A little boy. Just like mom or dad would.
The chatbot offers a unique opportunity to get good at speech and language skills because it'll practice the same thing over and over. Microsoft's AI for Good provided crucial technology that allows people to practice speech and language skills in a natural way.
So super fascinating space, and a really interesting space, and incredibly inspiring work happening in that space as well. So my final example for you is around public health and safety. It's from the dating app Bumble, who used AI to develop protections against a 21st century crisis, unwanted nudes. In 2019, their UK arm conducted some research to learn that 48% of women aged 18 to 24 had received a non-consensual photo. They launched Private Detector, and it's an AI-driven tool to recognize nude photos and give users the ability to consent to receive that photo. 2022, as part of a larger campaign, they took it one step further. They released an open source version of this AI tool on GitHub so that anybody can use this technology. And then that same year, they started actively working with legislators in the UK to make online flashing a crime. And they had success. Last year, in March, the UK government announced that it would make cyber flashing a criminal offence under its online safety bill. So I know I've just given you a huge amount of information and hopefully inspiration as well. I'm just going to wrap up with a few takeaways. AI is enabling new modes of productivity. It's helping us create truly personalized experiences. Unimaginable creativity is now a reality, and AI developments will lead to social change on a global scale. Before I wrap up, I'm just going to leave you with a few final words. AI is moving fast, but it's not out of reach. There's a lot of fear, but with this new innovation, we think that there's a lot of reason to be optimistic as well. This quote from MIT scientists Andrew McAfee and Eric Byron Yolfinson, directors of the Digital Economy Lab, really sums it up for us. The key to winning the race is not to compete against machines, but to compete with machines. So step onto the track and join the race with the best of the internet. Thank you so much for being here and listening to our presentation. Now I'm so thrilled to stop sharing and welcome Luke Patterson to the event. Now, let me just make sure I'm doing this right. Hi, Luke.
Hi, Claire. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so excited for this conversation. Let me quickly give you a little bit of an introduction and then let's dive into it, okay?
Sounds great.
All right. So Luke has been in the technology industry for over 7 years and held a number of roles. He has a passion for bridging the gap between what we want from technology and what we're getting from it, which has led him to into the search and AI space. Today, he lives in Austin, Texas with his wife and dog. He's also just flown back in last night from London, so and had an incredibly inspiring experience out there. So I'm so excited to get in and start talking about how you all are integrating AI into your hosting platforms and how you're enabling better experiences for your clients and customers. Welcome, Luke.
Thank you so much. And I'm glad I have more than 5 words for this because there's a lot going on.
We've got a lot to talk about. So today I discuss the power of using AI as a co-creator to optimize how we work. It can be helpful, especially as teams develop user journeys that accurately reflect their audiences. How can AI be utilized to create work that fulfills customers' needs?
Yeah, so I want to start kind of like AI has a lot of hype behind it. It's kind of why we're all here. And so we tend to imagine like, hey, how much of this is hyperbole? How much of this is practical? How much is Luke just caught up in the hype cycle here? So want to try and like demystify some of this and to be very, very practical with the way that we talk about it. And so I'll start kind of at a very high level and just say, when we say AI, that's kind of like the biggest umbrella, right? So AI just very broadly describes systems that simulate intelligent behavior. And so when we talk about a lot of these technologies that Claire mentioned, we're talking about a subset of AI, which is called machine learning. And so machine learning can do a lot of different things. And very recently, there's been some incredible advances in a kind of machine learning. So we're down to our third umbrella called deep learning. And so deep learning, basically how it works, kind of it can be a little bit of a black box, but basically how it works is you take some inputs, some information, and then you do a bunch of math on those inputs and you get some outputs. And those outputs are called parameters. These parameters are dispersed through that deep learning network. That was our third umbrella. And so in the case of something like ChatGPT, that's a large language model. And what they did basically was they took essentially the internet, so like all the text, all the content on the internet, and they did deep learning on it. And then they fine-tuned the results, and the results are, hey, now we have a bunch of parameters, trillions of parameters that are spread through this deep network, and that is our model. And so now we can put inputs into that model, right? Like asking it some questions. And what the model does is it basically makes really good guesses about the response to those inputs. So like if you ask a question, what the LLM is going to do is it's going to predict what the next words are after your question mark, right? Or after your prompt. And so it uses probability. It uses kind of a very advanced version of statistics just to guess what comes next, right? And the image matching kind of works in the same way. It's going to guess which pixels come next after your prompt that either is itself in pixels, it's a picture, or you can use some natural language. I am way oversimplifying this, and there's actually a lot of parts of this that folks, we just don't know how it works. We know that it works. We don't know how it works. But breaking through the hype, the things that we're talking about are probabilistic models that take some inputs and give some outputs based on prediction. And so we want to do this because when we get particular about how we apply tools like large language models, it's important to know what they are, what they're good at, and what they're really, really not good at, right? And so if we're thinking about how do we want to use these things and what's our opportunity, it's good to kind of get specific about, well, what is in even the realm of possibility for us here? Okay, so to the question in particular, like what are some ways we can use this stuff to fulfill our customers' needs? I'm going to steal, and I do this a lot, steal some words from a really, really bright person. Inbal Shani is the chief product officer at GitHub. And something that she says all the time is you have to keep a human in the loop. And so when you're thinking about these tools, realize that they are tools and there's going to be a human using them and they're going to be applied to solve problems for humans, right? And that these things can't just go out and solve problems by themselves. They can't even really go out and identify problems for themselves. I hope we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but it's really kind of a productivity booster rather than something that really can replace humans on its own. So there always has to be a human in the loop. So one part of that human is, and I'm being very broad because I'm trying to be practical too, when you're thinking of how you satisfy your customers' needs, you need to be in the loop with your AI tool because you're going to be the one trying to understand what their problems are. And so you'll want to be very human-centric in the way that you approach these kind of things. So how do you fulfill your customers' needs? Well, you have to understand what their needs are. And you're going to be using AI as a tool to address those needs in a way that maybe you couldn't before because it was just too complicated, maybe in a way that's a lot faster or more efficient, or maybe in a way that's like a lot more delightful and kind of inspiring for this customer. And so step one, understand what your customers' needs actually are. And this is going to involve actually spending time with them. So this is humans talking to humans before you get to any of the AI stuff. So you have a client, what is it they need, right? If they're a client of yours, it's because you can help them with their problem. You can solve some of their problem. You're going to be using AI as a tool to do that. So to get particular, one of the things that large language models are really, really good at is summarization. So maybe if you have like a lot of clients and you have a lot of messages from those clients, one of the things you can use a large language model for is to say, hey, I've got all this information. I have a year's worth of chats from Claire. Can you here's all those chats, large language model. Can you remind me what her favorite kind of cake is? Because her birthday's coming up. That can happen really, really fast. And you're starting with, hey, I want to show Claire that like, I'm thinking about her birthday. What was her favorite cake again? And so it's going to just shorten the loop between, the amount of work you have to do and how you're actually addressing the kind of real life problems that your customers are going to be facing. And so we talked a lot about tools and the particular mechanisms by which we do that. So if you're using those tools or if you're building those tools, the thing to remember is you're going to have to be centered on the human, and there's always going to have to be a human in the loop.
I love that. And it's strawberry shortcake. I love a strawberry shortcake.
Got it.
Delicious. there's any AI listening to us right now, strawberry shortcake. Well, we've been, together, WP Engine and the Webby Awards, we've spent a lot of time talking about personalization over the last few years. And I spent some time talking about personalization and the work that you're doing on search in the presentation. I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about that work and what you all are doing. I'm personally very excited about integrating it into the Webby Awards website.
Yeah, so the reason I'm here, right, is because I work on our search tool. And so search is a really interesting place to start to apply AI, these machine learning models in particular. And so what's the reason why? When we think about what search is broadly, it's kind of a way to understand user intent. And so what do I mean by that? When you're searching for something, right, we're talking about people. There's a person that's doing the searching, and then ostensibly there's a person that's creating an experience by which that search is translated into some content, right? Okay, and so as a person trying to do that translation, I need to understand, hey, what's in your brain when you type in strawberry shortcake? What do you actually mean? And so this is a little bit philosophical, but the act of searching is the act of Claire typing in the thing she wants into a keyboard. And the challenge here is that can happen in many different languages. And I don't know which language it's going to be until she types it out. There can be localization challenges, right? Strawberry shortcake, maybe she means the doll. I think that there was a doll called Strawberry Shortcake, right? And it can mean, what if she misspells strawberry shortcake, right? There's a lot of different things it can mean. It's very hard to get into somebody's head, especially with just a few words, and understand what do they actually intend when they type these words into the search box. And so the reason that large language models can be an interesting application here is the thing that they're really, really good at is predicting what some of that natural language means, right? And what comes after it. So what should the response be? What are some of the synonyms? It can guess, even what region you're from based on kind of the kind of English you use. Or, maybe you're from the southern part of the United States and there's some particular kind of language you use. And great, I understand that. And I can fit my solutions to the particular region that you're from. And so this becomes really important in the broad conversation around search, but also kind of personalization is kind of to go back to, hey, how do I apply these technologies into real solutions for real people? One of the things we all do if we're kind of developing solutions on the web is we try and understand, why is this person at my website? Why is this person using my app? What do they want? And we want to understand that really, really well, because we want to give it to them really, really fast so that they're watching our content or so that they buy our product, right? If I run a shoe shop, I want to understand exactly what kind of shoes whoever is visiting my site is there to buy. And that's really tricky because you have to kind of get in their brain, maybe even their unconscious brain, and understand their preferences, their intent, what's the thing they're there to do. Sometimes even without them typing it into a search, or sometimes if they type it inaccurately into a search. So you have to translate that intent into an experience. And so we think of search, we talked about large language models can really help with understanding what that language means. But if we move kind of to the other end of the scale and talk about we're serving content without any interaction from the user. Maybe without a search, somebody lands on your website and you want to just know why they're there. So Netflix does a really good job of this with their recommendations. Amazon does a really good job of this with their product recommendations. And what they do is they infer based on some data, what do we think you're here to do? And so that's really, really hard because you basically have three things. You have to have content understanding. So the content of your web page, it's shoes and there's descriptions and things like that. You also have to have a domain understanding. You have to know a lot about shoes. What shoes are great for hiking? What shoes are great for running? And then you have to know a lot about the user. Do they like hiking? Do they like running? Do they have any preferences or history for shoes? And so you have to combine all of that together to give them, yes, there's this particular brand of Nike that I think you might like. And you have to do all that without them telling you anything in the search bar. And so what this means is a lot of aggregation of data, maybe things that they bought before, things that people from their region like to buy, the time of year, maybe some of their session history and their past purchases. Again, we talked about AI is really good at summarization. So when we're talking about understanding user intent, AI and large language models are really good at application of summarize all this crazy amount of data, give it some guardrails, and give some suggestions to really kind of help to make smart suggestions that satisfy the reason this person is there on this website in the first place.
It's going to be a game changer.
It's really exciting.
It's very exciting. It's very exciting for us as people wanting to find stuff. Do you have any other examples of how brands and agencies can add personalization or be thinking about adding more personalization into their user experience journeys?
Yeah. So once again, you're going to think about what are the things that you want to personalize, right? What are the things that you want to make sure are happening really, really well? And it's going to come down kind of back to those three areas. So, you understand kind of the we'll call it content understanding, but basically like, what are the particulars of your day-to-day? What are some of the opportunities to kind of shorten that loop between ask and answer? And then domain understanding, right? A lot about the domain in which you find yourself, and then the user understanding, that understanding about that particular person. And so a great example for me personally is Gong. So Gong is a tool for sales, and it basically, the idea is that it records sales conversations, but it uses machine learning to transcribe the content of those calls, and also to automatically generate action items for those calls, and then to incorporate the history of the particular people on a given call into some recommendations, into some history. It'll say, oh, yes, this person works for this company. It'll automatically identify their voice on the call. And so if you're talking about personalized outreach, how cool is it to kind of automatically have on every call, oh, yep, here were the action items from our last call, kind of divided by person, and it just is there at your fingertips. So you can do a lot more for your clients when you're focused on what exactly they need, following up on those action items, and you've kind of removed a lot of the administrative note-taking work that you would have been doing.
Yeah, amazing. Well, we have so much to talk about, but I also wanted to take some questions from the audience as well. So I know we have another session planned early in the new year, so maybe we can come back and talk about some of the other things that we wanted to talk about: creation, imagination, the future, the impact as well. But why don't we just quickly take some questions from the audience? I'm sure we have a few. Oh, yeah, we've got a few. Here we go. Luke, are you finding this human approach to AI in the loop being shared across the industry, particularly by folks like you who are creating new AI products?
Yeah, so it's a good question. And the kind of underlying thing broadly here is, what's the future of AI on the scale of dystopia to utopia? I think I at least have heard a lot of concerns about what a tool this powerful can do. And also, like we talked about today, like a lot of hope about what a product like this can do. So to answer the question very directly, like, is this human approach shared across the industry? I see a lot of it. I see a lot of people that are really concerned with that question of, this is a really powerful tool and we want to make sure that it's employed ethically, and that the future we see is one that is relatively human-centric. Of course, that's not always going to be the case. This is just kind of the way that, humans fall on that kind of spectrum of behavior, and how they're incentivized, and the way they use these tools, and the beliefs they hold about the world. But at the very base of it, I think we have a real opportunity, and kudos for even being on this call, because you're ahead of the curve. It means you have a chance to influence where we fall on that scale between utopia and dystopia. So that you're asking that question, that you're thinking about it, that you're here kind of grappling with it, it means, one, that you are kind of in a place that you can actually have an influence on that, right? You can be a person in your industry that kind of has their finger on the scale, that is tipping it towards that human side of the equation. And, it means that, yeah, I mean, it's also your responsibility to do so if you're here. And so I think that when you have a technology like this and you're kind of ahead of the curve, how you use it for better, for worse, is kind of the future we get. And so to me, there's kind of a moral imperative for us of, hey, we're grappling with this stuff. We're thinking that if you're building an AI tool, you kind of inherently have a responsibility for the outcome that tool creates. And so I'll say, I am very happy to see mostly the human side there, but I think we can't really lose sight of the fact that we really do have a deep responsibility to kind of create things that have a net positive impact on the world.
Mm-hmm. We've got a few more questions, but I'm not sure how long we've got. So I'll just give you this one, and then I think I've got a few wrap-up notes as well. So Luke, have you seen any great examples of people using personalization for loyalty experiences?
Yes. So you think of personalization as such a great application of AI, because when you talk about loyalty, you're really talking about a human approach, and you feel that connection to like a brand or to a person or to an experience. And so whenever, I think the birthday example was a really good one. So you're going to have a lot of data about your client, maybe their purchase history or their project history, your chat history, your email history. Large language models are a tool to take those things and summarize them and give you the information that you need so that you can really quickly create some deeply personalized experiences. And so like the birthday and cake one, and who are their children or spouses or family, what's going on in their life. Hey, I noticed that you did this last year. Maybe we could do it again this year. You would have to take all those notes by hand anyway, because it's impossible to remember everything about everyone. Use this as a tool to create more human interaction. And if you know something is important to your client, use it as a tool to make sure you address that, right? If you know something is going to like light up their day, use this as a tool to make sure you're getting to that, again, maybe a little bit faster, but also maybe in a way that's really bigger and brighter. But I think, in lieu of giving anything like ultra specific, like you all know what these things are, use these tools to make sure that you're doing them for the folks that you're interacting with.
So just on that note, I thought it would be an interesting idea and experiment to use Otter AI to summarize our conversation. So some takeaways from Otter AI. Here's what it wrote. Some key takeaways from the conversation according to Otter AI. AI, and specifically machine learning and deep learning, can be used as tools to understand user intent and personalize experiences. It's important to keep humans in the loop when using AI tools and apply them to solve real problems for real people. Large language models are good at tasks like summarization, predicting natural language, and understanding context, which can help with search and recommendations. Personalization involves understanding content, the problem domain, and individual users to better satisfy their needs. So then I said, what? There's nothing about cake? And then it said, according to the transcript, there was a brief yet intensely passionate debate about cake, where one speaker vigorously asserted that strawberry shortcake was objectively the best cake, most elite tier of cake in existence. The other speaker, while more reserved, did concede that strawberry shortcake is indeed a delicious classic. This cake conversation came up solely as a light-hearted example of how an AI may one day be called upon to settle heated arguments about confectionery, which isn't quite right. But pretty good job.
Yeah, I think it shows kind of the things that AI can do, right? That was quick and it was delightful, but it also shows the limitations, because I have never been described as reserved. So maybe one.
Amazing. Well, I think we'll drop those takeaways into the LinkedIn chat as well. And we had one final question about when our next conversation will be, and it's going to be in the 3rd week of January, around January 17th, I believe. But we'll follow up and email everybody who's been watching today with the next conversation. But Luke, I wanted to say thank you so much. This has been so much fun. And, you know, we're so grateful for our partnership with WP Engine and everything that we do together. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Quick note, if you're thinking about entering the Webby Awards, you've got a week to do it. The final entry deadline is next week. And, you know, if you're creating incredible AI experiences, applications, projects, we introduced a whole suite of AI categories for you this year. So take a look. You can see everything at webbyawards.com. Thank you.